everybody. Thanks for logging on. You found us. It's the Hall of Fame event. I'm Allison Kaplan. You can call me Allie. Everybody does. We are just warming up. You haven't missed anything. You have plenty of time to get settled, get some snacks, maybe send this link to your friends and colleagues. Tell them this is where the party is tonight. This, unfortunately, is the pandemic cocktail hour. This is how we roll these days, and it can still be a lot of fun. And we want you to be able to say cheers to our 5 honorees, and so we thought, who better to help us mix up some drinks to celebrate than my friend, everybody's friend, Stephanie March. She's the senior editor of food and dining for Minneapolis.St.Paul magazine. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got
it.
I did.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You have a long title. And she is my go-to whenever I need to know what to drink, and you'll understand why in just a minute. Thank you for joining us.
Cheers.
From a safe distance,
From a
of
safe
course,
distance. It's
right?
a 6-foot table.
Yes, indeed. So what we did to get ready for this evening, this kind of unusual year of celebrating Hall of Fame.
This 2020.
Yes, we asked our honorees, what are you drinking? What is your favorite drink? What will you be enjoying this evening while you watch the show? Well, we're all kind of watching it together, but separately. So we have their favorite drinks, and I can't make them myself.
Well, you know, I mean, it's not really a cocktail party unless, well, okay, now it is a cocktail party, even if it's just yourself. But it's more fun with friends, digitally,
Yes.
or, you know,
Exactly.
at a distance.
So we have some suggestions to honor our honorees this evening. It's only right to drink what they drink, right?
I think so.
To
I think so.
toast our great careers in business. That's what we're here to celebrate this evening. So let's dive in. One of our honorees tonight is George Sherman. Commercial real estate icon. You're going to hear more about him this evening. George is a coffee guy. I can relate because often when it's cocktail hour time, I'm thinking I really just need a little more caffeine to get through this.
Right.
So George loves his coffee, and I thought, what do you do with coffee at happy hour time? Is there a way?
I think so. I don't think you have to shun the coffee. Lots of us, you know, we're like on our 3rd pot by the time, you know, happy hour hits around, and it's a little bit hard. It's hard to wean. So I don't think you have to give up the ghost on this one. But I do think you can make it a little fancier. You can maybe make it into a little bit more of a cocktail.
Look at that gorgeous ice.
It's so easy. It's, of course, Minnesota Nice Ice. Always pick the nice ice. Nice ice makes everything better.
Yes.
So all I need to do is really get a good glass and get a nice, you know, chunk of ice in there. And then Starbucks has such a great you can go creamy with the latte situation. You can go cold brew, which is so already very coal and awesome.
Yes.
Or you could just go straight up and just mainline your double shot, you know, for caffeine and stuff. But here's what you want to do. What I think is great is that all you have to do to dress up your coffee, really, I'm going to double this up by doing a tiny bit of espresso, kind of the double shot espresso.
Yeah.
But then I'm also going to put some cold brew in there.
Oh.
I know, look at me go. Because I think cold brew can be kind of sharp. And then what I'm going to do with this, you guys, very easily, look at it's already kind of pretty. I'm just going to amp it up with a little bit of bitters. And I think that just kind of gives you a little bit of fun. So bitter cubes, Jamaican #2.
Okay.
You find those often in like old fashions. So you just add in a little bit of bitters, and really it's flavoring. It's not so much bitter. I mean, coffee's already, if you're a coffee drinker, you're kind of already there.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest.
Clear.
I have these pretty bottles of bitters. I love all the local companies that make them. I don't really know what to do with them. So I could put them in coffee.
You can put them in coffee. In fact, you could put, here's an idea. Put them in your coffee and then pour that over ice cream. That is your lane.
Wow.
That is your lane right there.
That's what I'm doing after the awards.
So this is what I've made for
George.
Yeah.
Well, cheers to you, George.
Cheers to
I
you,
love
George.
it. This drink is very much my speed.
Well, why don't
it's
you
all
take
you
us
need.
on?
Okay, all right.
I made it for you.
Okay, this is for me. Here we go.
You start up.
We won't share.
No, we're not sharing.
Delicious.
I know, kind of a little bit of just another level, just getting you out of your daily coffee into your nightly coffee.
Okay, wow. All right, well, Kathy Tunheim, delighted to be honoring Kathy this year. We said, Kathy, what are you drinking tonight? And she said very simply, wine, wine, and wine. So we said, we get it, we're there.
We're there.
What should we be drinking
Well,
this
why don't you
summer?
hand me that rosé, Here, I think that obviously the wine of the moment is still rosé. It's still rosé.
Summer.
It's summer, but let me be honest about something. You can drink rosé all year long. It is no longer only just a springtime, summertime gig, because rosé is a beautiful expression of, basically it kind of gives you the complexities of a deep, good wine, but it's light and it's lovely, but it still has all the good flavors. This Spell brand is something that I just really, it's Sonoma County, and it's a beautiful rosé that I think has a lot of food qualities. So some of the rosés are meant to basically drink fast and kind of go crazy with. This one is great for food because it has a little bit more acidity and it pairs well with flavors. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Don't get fancy. Rosé is not meant to be fancy. I'm not going to put it in stemware. I'm just going to put it in my lovely little stemless glass here, and I'm just going to probably drink the whole bottle, so who cares?
Well, and that works well when you're on the patio, as we have been a lot this summer, sitting around the fire.
So easy.
Lovely.
Salads, love a rosé. Grilled fish, loves a rosé.
Or just drink the
rosé.
rosé.
Loves a rosé. Steph March loves a rosé.
I do too.
You do
well,
too.
Lovely.
Okay,
Thank
so that's
you.
Kathy Tunheim.
Okay,
right
cheers to you, Kathy. Enjoy that rosé. Next is Al Hodnik. Up in Duluth, Al is a salt of the earth guy. We said, what are you drinking, Al? He said, a beer and a bump.
A beer and a bump! God, love that guy.
How do we do it? What should we do? Now, he was very aware of shopping local.
Yes.
He likes to support his local breweries. So we have
Castle Danger. You guys, Castle Danger is a local beer that, it looks like you got the good 17.7 Pale Ale. Castle Danger is a great brewery that, because it's in the Northland, I think a lot of the metro area, maybe they don't hear about it, they don't know about it because they haven't been able to get to the tap room or something.
Yeah.
But a lot of cabin dwellers really, really love this and are, they kind of like, it's their local beer for the cabin life, right? Which is a great thing. So honestly, just taking a good Pale Ale and then pairing that with your bottle of whiskey over there, Sugar Pie.
Oh, yes, indeed.
I mean,
beautiful
this is your
bottle.
bump, and this is J. Carver. You got the straight bourbon whiskey, man.
Did I do good?
You did so well.
I got my shopping list straight from Stephanie.
Me, right?
I follow orders very well.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So J. Carver is out of Waconia, you guys, and they are one of our really, really great and most diversified distillers. And it's a small batch company, locally owned. They really try to use grains from the area. Since they're out kind of far west.
Yeah.
They've got some of the Carver, Carver County and everything. They use some local farm stuff. It's really wonderful. And I think pairing it kind of like the north and kind of the outreaches in the west kind of comes together. Beer and a bump is a very popular thing happening in cocktail rooms across the country right now.
Really?
I know, dive bar chic, okay? But it kind of gives you a little bit of that zhuzh of you're having your craft beer, but maybe you want to cut it every once in a while with something a little bit sharper.
We could all use that.
That's how that works.
Right now.
That's
okay.
it.
Do you want to do the honors on this
Yeah,
one?
I'm going to go ahead and I'll take this one for you. Oh, that's a nice. So it's really easy to execute this one. It's hoppy. It's beautiful. It's got a lot of depth. And then you just,
Wow. Nice.
There it is.
Very good.
That's all it takes.
Okay. Ooh. And that is really just that's Minnesota right there.
That's Minnesota.
Right? We have just
if I could have
celebrated.
some pull tabs right now, that would be great. We should get some pull tabs next time.
Okay, we'll do that next. All right. Next up is Monica Nassif. When it's summer and she's celebrating, Monica, you can find with a gin and tonic.
Oh God, she's such our girl. And then I totally didn't get the good ice going that's gonna make it into this glass.
Well, that's okay.
You know what?
Hey, if you're just joining us, this is the pre-show. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything. We're on loop here, and the formal awards program is gonna kick off in just a little while. Get settled. We're giving you some drink ideas. Run to the bar, run to the kitchen, get your drink. Get inspired by Ms. Stephanie March. You can read everything she does in Minneapolis.St.Paul magazine, our sister publication. We're so glad to pull her over to TCB tonight to help us celebrate for Hall of Fame.
Give me your line.
My
Your
lime.
lime is
Oh, my
over there.
lime. I thought
Yeah.
you said my lime.
I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
give
I
you
just
actually
gave
a
you my
job. Can
lime.
you cut a slice of lime?
Oh, I can try.
This is it. This
Okay.
is where
Am I
the
cutting it in half?
editor-in-chief, yes.
Okay, all right.
Shows us her true skills.
What
Well,
a cute knife, by
I
the
know,
way.
isn't
Is
that
this
so cute?
straight out of your
It's my
kitchen?
bar knife, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about gin and tonics because of course, classic drink of summer, right? I mean, like you think about gin and tonics, you think about the boat, you think about the croquet course.
Yes.
Of course. But
every weekend.
Everyone. But gin and tonics really have had a resurgence in the last couple of years, and here's what I'm gonna tell you, the greatest news of all. We don't drink them in those little teeny low balls or the skinny highballs. We now drink them out of goblets.
What?
Hello.
When did this happen?
This happened in Spain, and God love the Spanish, okay? Because
I missed the memo.
You missed the memo. But here's the thing. So what we want to do is we want to use a local gin. We wanted to use Du Nord's Fitzgerald gin, obviously named after Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Scott, our boy. But Du Nord, of course, is the first Black-owned distillery in the entire country.
Wow.
And it's here in Minneapolis.
So
and
cool.
he is Chris Montana, who owns it with his wife Chanel. They are activists who are doing really great things in the Twin Cities and setting up nonprofits for everybody that was affected by unrest. And it's a class act,
Yeah.
but it's also a delicious gin.
Right.
So
look at the good you can do with your drinks.
This is what I'm saying.
Okay, am I cutting this
Yeah.
into like little, what am I doing?
You
just
know
want
what?
the whole
Do
thing?
a half more on that one.
A half
Do
more.
a half more.
Like this way or this way?
Yeah, that way.
This way.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't even cut a lime. This is why I have
This
to
is
take
good.
Stephanie with
This
me
is great.
everywhere.
Don't
Okay.
even worry about it.
All right.
And then, so here's the other thing with gin and tonics.
Yeah.
There are so many good tonics out there. You don't have to, Schweppes is fine. If you
Yeah.
have Schweppes, use the Schweppes.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is Fever Tree, Q tonic, there are so many great tonics being made that giving it a little bit of depth and not that sugary, sharpness, it really adds to the gin.
Okay, so it's not just about the bottle. I always think it's just about how
is.
pretty the bottle is.
It is both.
Okay.
It is both. It is. And these come in these cute little smaller ones too that help.
Yeah.
But really your gin and tonic is just this. And if it had a better ice cube in it, if I could. But this is your gin and tonic these days. And actually, let's be clear. You guys are sitting here and you're having a webinar.
You're not driving anywhere.
You're not driving anywhere. What would be the point of that? Look at that. This is what I'm telling you right now. This is what's called.
That is a.
There's a level of self-care going on here, people. I'm just
That's
telling
like
you.
a double, triple, quadruple. What are we
This is
doing
like,
here?
I'm gonna kick up and hang out with all you Hall of Famers.
Yeah, right.
So why not? I'm gonna have this, by the way.
Cheers to you. All right. Well, enjoy that, Monica. Thank you for inspiring
girl.
our supersized gin and tonic tonight. Last but not least, Bill Otis, our guy from Nuvera in New Ulm. We said to him, Bill, what do you drink? What will you be having to enjoy the Hall of Fame? We know he's got a group for a viewing party in New Ulm.
Oh,
and
nice.
he said, Fireball.
Here's the deal. Let's have a moment for Fireball, okay? Fireball is a whiskey, kinda. I'm gonna go whiskey asterisk because whiskey drinkers, if you're a whiskey drinker like me, you usually like to serve it, neat and, maybe an ice cube, and you're kind of a little finicky about the mash, and you worry about the aging, and you think about this. This has nothing to do with that, nothing. And yet, strangely delicious. Strangely delicious. In fact, I might say that you, as a person who likes things a little on the sweeter side, might find this attractive. Have you had this?
I don't know that I ever have.
Do you
to be
remember Big
honest.
Red Gum?
Yeah.
That's what you're getting, Bigger
Is it
Sugar.
a little bit of like hot tamale in there?
Yes.
I love hot tamales.
Okay, you are a hot tamale.
Okay.
Look at that. All right, and basically you can sip Fireball, and you could put it over ice. And I would
very
say
cinnamony.
It's so cinnamony. If you wanted to make it into a cocktail, I would just say put it over ice and yeah, that's it. Just sip it over. I don't think you can add anything to this to make it any
All right, well,
better.
virtual cheers. That's how we
Cheers.
do it these days.
Bing.
And
then
here we go.
Bottoms up, kids.
Yeah, really. Ooh. That is good stuff.
See, it's popular for a reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Stephanie March. Seriously. You can be our bartender at all future TCB events.
I'm in. I'm in.
Read her in Minneapolis.St.Paul magazine and online at mspmag.com. All the good advice, all the places to drink and eat local. And get ready, guys. We've inspired you. Go get your drink on. We're going to start the show in just a couple minutes.
From startups to Fortune 500s,
finance to technology, entrepreneurs to CEOs, we are Twin Cities Business, Minnesota's leading resource for business news, insight, and analysis. From our award-winning monthly magazine to our always-on website, e-newsletters, podcasts, social media, and live events like this one, TCB goes beyond the headlines to explore business opportunities and solutions. We're a community of innovators and influential leaders, problem solvers and dreamers. We are Twin Cities Business. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2020 Minnesota Business Hall of Fame event. I'm Frank Vassalero, and I'm delighted to join you. Although we can't be together, I think you're still going to love this virtual program because content is king, and tonight we have 5 inspiring stories of leadership, hard work, and overcoming challenges. I was proud to narrate their stories, and I'm confident you will enjoy learning more about this year's inductees. Let's get things rolling right now with Twin Cities Business Editor-in-Chief, Allison Kaplan.
Thank you, Frank. I'm so glad you could join us for this special event. For those of you who don't know, Frank has done a wonderful job emceeing our Hall of Fame event for many years. I always look forward to our Hall of Fame night catch-up. We're so delighted he could still be part of the celebration this year. Throughout the program, you'll hear Frank's familiar voice in our inductee videos. Thanks, Frank. But first, welcome to the TCB 2020 Minnesota Business Hall of Fame event. While we wish we were all clinking glasses and breaking bread together, I know I speak for everyone at Twin Cities Business when I say we're thrilled you could join us for the induction of 5 outstanding individuals into the Minnesota Business Hall of Fame. I hope you had time to settle in, grab a few snacks, make a drink with the one and only Stephanie March during our pre-programming. Feel free to use the comment section on the lower portion of your screen to congratulate our honorees during the event and interact with one another. We know there are celebrations happening from Duluth to New Ulm and everywhere in between, and I'm sure our guests of honor would love to see who's tuning in tonight. Well, from public relations to real estate development, consumer products to telecommunications and clean energy, tonight we celebrate the success stories of 5 individuals who represent the best in Minnesota business leadership, not only for how they run their companies, but for how they leverage business to the benefit of the community at large. From harnessing talent to working on public policy, caring for the arts and natural resources, the 5 business leaders we honor tonight truly have Minnesota at heart in everything they do. Of course, we would not be able to pull this off without your attendance and the support of these sponsors. First, thank you to our gold sponsors, Carlson School of Management and JP Morgan. I'd also like to thank our silver sponsors, Plain Solutions and JLL. You'll hear more about these companies throughout the evening. We're so appreciative that you were all able to pivot and support this virtual event. Our video production partner is Studio 120. Studio 120 is a one-stop partner for award-winning audio and video production to turn your story into an experience. All the inductee videos shown this evening and many sponsor videos were produced by Studio 120. In addition, we'd like to thank our virtual celebration supporters. You had a chance to see them congratulate the inductees at the start of this event. Thank you to all our sponsors for supporting the Minnesota Business Hall of Fame. For more than 2 decades, Twin Cities Business has selected inductees to the Minnesota Business Hall of Fame, whose members, now 118 strong, rank among the most accomplished and most admired Minnesota business people of all time. Each of these individuals, chosen by our editorial team, is part of a larger enterprise. Each has led at least one competitively superior business organization while making substantial contributions to our community beyond business. Quite simply, through the course of their careers, each of these 5 business leaders have made Minnesota better. You'll see short videos about each honoree from Studio 120 tonight. They'll be available online along with recordings of the speeches made here tonight at tcbmag.com. But before we recognize our 2020 honorees, let's take a moment to reflect on the loss of 3 former Hall of Fame inductees this past year. Ken Melrose, 2005 inductee, former CEO of Toro Company. Ken passed away in May at the age of 79. He joined the Toro Company in 1970 and went on to serve in a number of leadership roles and lead the company for 24 years. Throughout his career, Ken emphasized the importance of leading by serving, an ideal he covered at length in his 1995 book, Making the Grass Greener on Your Side. As a philanthropist, Ken donated millions to causes in Minnesota and around the country. Perhaps most notably, he provided funding to establish his namesake clinic at Health Partners. Ken's wide-ranging accomplishments were driven by his unwavering commitment to serve others. Whitney MacMillan, 1999 inductee, former CEO and chairman of Cargill. Whitney was part of the very first class of Minnesota Business Hall of Fame inductees and the last to pass away from that class. He spent 44 years working for Cargill, 20 of those as CEO. With his wife Betty, Whitney also supported many charitable and educational programs in the Twin Cities and around the country, with a focus on values-based education, healthcare, the environment, and culture. He lived to age 90 and passed away in March. M.A. Mort Mortensen Jr., 2007 inductee, former president of M.A. Mortensen Company. Mort had a passion for construction and the people he got to work alongside. He took over the company in 1969 and grew it from a full-time staff of 14 people into a national construction giant with 7,500 employees. His work can be seen across the Twin Cities, some of the most notable projects being US Bank Stadium, Target Field, TCF Bank Stadium, and Xcel Energy Center. Mort was 82.
Curt Sampson, 2012 inductee, chairman of Canterbury Park Holding Corporation. Curt is well known in the Twin Cities for reopening Canterbury Park and transforming it into one of the most attended racetracks in the nation. Throughout a career that began in 1955, he was instrumental in the formation and growth of several multi-million-dollar telecommunications companies. A culture of loyalty, honesty, and community service are trademarks of any Sampson business. He passed away at the age of 87.
And now, let's meet our 2020 Hall of Fame inductees. Tonight's first inductee is Al Hodnik, Executive Chairman of the Board of ALLETE. He's recognized for re-energizing the Duluth-based electric utility and branching out into renewables. Let's hear more.
I knew back in 1987 that this company could not be solely Minnesota Power and be successful. It had to be more than that. And that was already sort of personally and viscerally lived by me, and I said, I'm going to make sure if I ever have my chance on the stick to make sure that this company is diversified for the future so we wouldn't have so much exposure.
In his decade as president and CEO of ALLETE, which ended with his retirement this year, Al Hodnik, now the executive chairman, positioned the Duluth-based energy company for the future. He made great strides in sustainability, diversification, talent development, gender diversity, and profitability.
$4 billion market cap, I'm very proud of that. This company is a much different company today than it was 10 years ago. It's a much stronger company, and it has so many potential growth opportunities going forward in the clean energy space right now, while it continues to serve some of its traditional customers here in northeastern Minnesota.
A child of the Iron Range, Al is a self-described Minnesota Power brat. Not only did he spend his entire 40-year career working for the utility, his father worked for Minnesota Power too. The company was a large and positive presence in their life in Aurora, Minnesota, where Al would eventually serve as mayor while building his career.
My mother would say, run this across the railroad tracks to your father, and I would get out of the car and jump across and bring the lunch bill to my dad, and he'd come and give me a hug on the tracks, and I'd look at him jumping on the locomotive and driving down the tracks to go get the cars and so on and so forth. Later in life, I was driven out there to go fishing. It's on a lake, obviously, and so keep an eye on him all day type of thing, and I'd cast my rod and catch sunfish, and he'd come down and check on me, how you doing, and so on and so forth. So those are my earliest memories, both of my mother bringing me out there and my dad working at that location.
Al worked summers at Minnesota Power to pay his way through college. The C-suite wasn't even on his radar, but he was always open to new challenges.
I was in the field. I was laid off. I was bounced around. I stayed with the company, and the company stayed with me. I did work that was not necessarily ideal, but I did it anyways. because all work is honorable. The company honored me by keeping me on, and they built a loyalty in me that never been lost.
On his way to the top, Al worked in operations and organizational development. He worked in the field and at headquarters in a variety of management roles prior to being named president in 2009 and CEO a year later.
As I have a fundamental belief, and I've always had a fundamental belief, that all value creation starts with people, leadership, and culture. So I start there. And I know business schools would disagree with me today. The customer comes first, the customer's value proposition comes first, those kinds of things, and then you assemble the team. I don't believe that. I believe you assemble the right people, the right culture, and the right leadership, and then you figure out from that point in time what business are we in and who are we serving at the end of the day. During
his tenure as president and CEO, ALLETE's largest subsidiary, Minnesota Power, reduced its carbon footprint by more than 30%. The company launched ALLETE Clean Energy and sold its majority stake in U.S. Water Services to focus on renewable energy investments. And through it all, Al never lost sight of his community.
But Minnesota Power still today is a big fish in a small pond up here. So when you work for this company, there aren't many public companies up here of this size. And in the Twin Cities, there are many companies to sort of jump in the boat and get a lot of things done with. Up here, there's a greater responsibility, in my opinion, a greater sense of responsibility on the leadership of this company to contribute to the health and well-being of northeastern Minnesota. It really requires extra energy up here, I think, to lead. So when you pair the sort of the expectations, I think, on this little company and the interests that I have anyways in government, in labor, in business, in schools, in education, in a balanced regional success, it was a natural for me to be involved.
He's catching his breath now that he's turned the CEO role over to Bethany Owen. But Minnesota hasn't heard the last from Al Hodnik.
There's an opportunity to sit back right now and process all of that and say, okay, we got to learn. We got to grow. We're not all aligned here on what it is we need to do, and it requires thought leaders. I hope to be one of those continually going forward.
For a few words about Al, here's Bruce Stender, Vice Chairman and Principal of Labovitz Enterprises.
It's my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce Alan R. Hodnik as an inductee into the Minnesota Business Hall of Fame. I've known Al for a number of years. In my role as lead director on the ALLETE Board of Directors, observing Al as a leading citizen in northeastern Minnesota and an ALLETE shareholder cheering for the company's success. Your nominees this year were visionaries. The Twin Cities Business Magazine cited 3 important attributes: set a clear direction for corporate success, capacity to innovate, unite employees to a common goal. Al excelled in all 3 areas and more. One can read in this month's issue all of the numbers that Al and his team accomplished during his tenure. I'd like to introduce Al as a person, a leader, a mentor, who personified the company's culture of excellence. Al's a proud Iron Ranger who is as comfortable walking down the main street of Aurora, Minnesota, as he is sitting down with analysts at Wall Street, industry peers, strategy sessions with his key reports, or during board meetings. He understands and clearly articulates ALLETE's business strategy. He is self-confident in a humble way with a great sense of humor. Al understands and can spot talent, and he knows how to mentor talent. He incents his people to take risks, accepting positions and challenges they never thought capable of attaining. Al cares about everybody in the company. It was a treat to walk the halls of the administrative office on Superior Street and witness his interaction between and among associates. He made managing by walking around come alive. ALLETE people were never concerned about going into his office with bad or unfortunate news. I was impressed with how he empathized with families who experienced trauma or a death of a loved one. The 1,300 employees of ALLETE were family to Al. His strength as a CEO was exhibited by his vision of where the company had to direct its resources, evolving from 95% carbon coal footprint to 50% renewable. Al was a strategic thinker, taking the best ideas generated by his team and making those ideas possible. ALLETE Clean Energy, Great Northern Transmission Line, converting or eliminating generation where needed. At the beginning of his tenure as president and CEO, the board understood his talent and said to Al, "Go until we say stop." And the board said to itself, "Let Al be Al." The board took its role seriously, challenging Al in the best sense, and Al was able to clearly explain his vision to the board. He was always strategic, he was ethical and honest, and led by example. One last comment. The fact that Bethany Owen is the first woman CEO at Elite is no accident. Women always knew they had a path to promotion. It was an even playing field. The face of the company, from the director's table to the senior team, was characterized by the same commitment to inclusion. Al is a baseball fan, big time. Al, as a kid, wanted to be a Baseball Hall of Famer. He now will be in the Hall of Fame, Minnesota's Business Hall of Fame. It's my honor to introduce to the Minnesota Business Hall of Fame, Alan R. Hodnik.
Well, on behalf of the company here and on behalf of myself and my wife, Erica, I just want to say how humbled I am to be inducted into the Minnesota Business Hall of Fame. I want to thank Twin Cities Business Magazine, and I want to thank especially 2,000 employees here at this company, waves of talent. Any success ascribed to me, including this Business Hall of Fame honor, really is a result of the people, leadership, and culture of the company of Elite that I was so privileged to lead for so many years. Thank you very much.
Congratulations again, Al. And now a word from the Carlson School of Management.
Good evening. I'm Shri Zahir, Dean of the University of Minnesota's Carlson School of Management. It's wonderful to be with all of you tonight to celebrate 5 outstanding leaders in our business community. At the Carlson School, we believe that business is a force for good. Al, Monica, Bill, George, Kathy, we know you share that ethos, and it's something that's needed now more than ever before. Collectively, you have benefited our community, and importantly, you've helped to mentor and educate future business leaders, both at the Carlson School and elsewhere. We're proud to be tonight's educational sponsor and look forward to placing your names in the Hall of Fame at the Carlson School of Management. Now, before I go, there's someone else who wants to say hello.
Our second inductee is Monica Nassif, a career entrepreneur and founder of products that live on most of our shelves, Caldrea and Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day.
Long before Marie Kondo was sparking joy through tidying up, Monica Nassif made cleaning aspirational. She didn't just build a brand, she created a new category of upscale cleaning products. But being an entrepreneur wasn't something she dreamed about or even knew about as a kid growing up in a big family in the small town of Granger, Iowa.
You know, my mom really believed in the confidence of a paycheck. She always said that. She was, if you have a job, you can do anything. So the minute we could get a job, and I lied about my age to get my first job, we were out of the house. And that was a gift, really, because the house was crowded. There was a lot going on.
She went to nursing school but quickly realized it wasn't for her and went back to the University of Minnesota for an English degree. She landed a job as a speechwriter for Dayton's.
It was the premier department store. It was a beautiful store. I was just an honor to work there. And one reason I loved Dayton's is they loved the customer. They really respected the consumer, how she thought about trends and apparel, and you know, the customer was always right. And there was a real high regard for being ahead of trend, respecting consumers, and I learned a lot from that culture.
Monica parlayed that experience into a marketing agency of her own, but helping clients build brands made her want to create something herself.
You know, it would be really fun if I could find a product that would be, you know, on the assembly line when I sleep at night.
Inspiration struck on a business trip to Atlanta when she stumbled upon a huge pallet of cleaning products.
I remember looking at that going, gosh, that is so pathetic. What if that was great? I mean, what if the bottles didn't look like machine guns, and they didn't smell like bleach. And what if it could be like Aveda? That's what I kept thinking. What if it could be like Aveda? That would be so fabulous. So I got on the plane and I wrote down my business plan. I still have it. It's a one-sheeter with same fragrances, what the items were, how you could build an entire category. Because the other thing that was happening at the time was that all these commodity categories were moving upstream. You know, if you think of shampoo was moving upstream, pet food, coffee, and no one had really thought about cleaning, you know, in terms of a premium category. And I thought, if we could just tear off a little piece of this multi-billion-dollar industry, we would have a pretty significant business.
She began researching the market, visiting grocery stores, comparing prices, formulating products. She called it Caldrea, a combination of her daughter's names.
Minneapolis is a fantastic place to start a business, especially consumer product. You have some of the biggest names here. So little did I didn't know this before I got started, but there's a lot of experts in how to put liquids in bottles.
But raising money is a different story.
Raising money is probably one of the most difficult challenges for an entrepreneur. First of all, there's not a lot of women doing it. And all the people that you go ask money for are typically white guys in their 60s who have never done dishes or wiped off a countertop. So when you walk in with cleaning products, honestly, they look at you if you're crazy. And my strategy was, when I would go see an investor, was, hey, I'm not asking you for money. I would just like 3 names. And then I'd stand up, pack up my samples, and walk away. And they go, well, what if I want to invest? Because everybody wants what they can't have.
Raising her first round took 7 months. The second round took 7 days. Launched in 2000, Caldrea was a quick hit. Stores around the country wanted refills. Retailers like Williams-Sonoma hired Caldrea to produce private label lines. But Monica knew there was an even bigger opportunity.
After we realized Caldrea was having some success at the specialty store level, we thought, man, we better knock off ourselves before someone else does, because we just thought it was such a good idea. So we thought, oh, the brand has to be Midwestern, has to be wholesome. Let's think about all these herbs coming out of the garden. And then it was, this just sounds like your mom. So then, of course, we thought, yeah, it could be Mrs. Myers. So I called my mom, who's a housewife. I said, hey, Mom, do you want to be a brand? And she goes, what's a brand? And I said, well, I'll explain it to you, but here's what we're thinking.
Her mom, the real Mrs. Myers, loved the idea.
Oh, she was using Caldrea, but she did say to me, she goes, this is too expensive. I could never afford this.
With its broader reach, Mrs. Myers Clean Day became the company's rocket ship. In 2008, she sold to S.C. Johnson for an undisclosed amount. These days, Monica devotes her time to advising other entrepreneurs and giving back, particularly to the Walker Art Center, where she served as board president. But once a founder, always a founder.
Oh yeah, when I walk into Target and Whole Foods, I'm still straightening out the bottles. You know, I used to take my kids and their friends in high school, and we would go out for Saturdays, and I'd pay them a couple dollars. So they would pull the product forwards, you know, make sure all the nozzles were facing one direction, and yeah, you look at it and you think, oh, that's my baby.
Here to present Monica is Ann Barkaloo, the former Chief Communications Officer for Dayton-Hudson Corporation. Take it away, Ann.
Good evening. It is my very special honor to introduce Monica Nassif, as she is named, to the 2020 Minnesota Business Hall of Fame. Monica is a legend among entrepreneurs as one who epitomizes vision, seeing what others often don't, and doing it all with grace and style. Monica is what every brand wishes it could be if it could only come to life. Monica came into my life more than 30 years ago as a young intern in our Dayton-Hudson Corporate Public Relations Division. She began working with Boke Sells, the president of Dayton-Hudson, and the developer of new strategies. She wrote his speeches, was his sounding board, helping him crystallize his thoughts and hers about innovation. When I called Boke to tell him about the honor Monica was receiving, he said, Monica was half our age, and we never noticed. She was so smart, so intuitive, and a great partner. So when we were launching a new business strategy at Dayton-Hudson and putting together the leadership team, it was very clear that Monica was going to be the top choice to be the communications person. Others who worked with her at the time describe her as fearless, determined, always learning, whip smart, fun, and a little irreverent. I like to think we gave her that taste of creating something new, and she taught us all how to pronounce Des Moines, the French capital of Iowa. Off she went to start her own marketing and design firm, Kilter, another smashing success, blending all the pieces of marketing, design, and communication under one umbrella before big agencies were doing that. Time to move on again, this time to make the world smell a little better. Pamela Helms, who joined Monica in the development of Caldrea and Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day, describes her this way: a bright, powerful business mind, super high energy. She set an example of hard work and dedication that was contagious. Her ability to monetize beauty and aesthetics in cleaning products of all things was an amazing strength, not just across one brand or in one channel, but across all three at the same time. Her team called her the living, beating heart of the company, providing vital energy for growth. Those brands were sold to SC Johnson, where they remain major brands today, coast to coast and worldwide. Monica also generously has shared her how-to enthusiasm with nonprofits and with dozens of budding entrepreneurs, always making them feel she learned something from them as well. She is a really lovely person, a woman of substance, grounded in family, incredibly smart, inspiring, and joyful. I am so proud to present this 2020 Hall of Fame Award for Lifetime Achievement to Monica Nassif.
I am delighted to be here, and I'm honored to be inducted into the Minnesota Business Hall of Fame. Thank you for asking me, and thank you for this great honor. I'd first of all like to thank my family who stood by me in all my crazy business adventures. They really made it happen. I'd also like to thank all the people who worked with us to make it happen, the people who believed in us in the early days, and the people who helped us grow the company until we sold it. I'd also like to just thank the Minnesota business community. It's a great place to start a business. There's a lot of help and a lot of support to make things happen. And I'd really like to just honor the other people who are also inducted into the Business Hall of Fame. It's a real, makes me feel really good that I can stand here proud among all of you. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, Monica. I think of you every time I clean my counters. Well, I'd like to take just a minute to recognize our sponsor, JP Morgan. JP Morgan Private Bank provides customized financial advice and strategies to help wealthy clients and their families invest, borrow, and bank with intent. Leveraging global capabilities in investing, philanthropy, family office management, credit, fiduciary services, and special advisory services, the private bank brings clients' investments and financial assets together into one comprehensive strategy to help them achieve their goals and secure the legacy they envision. The private bank manages more than $1.4 trillion in assets. Our next Hall of Fame inductee is Bill Otis, the retired CEO of Nuvera. He grew a small New Ulm phone company into a regional telecommunications business. Take a look.
I still have a landline. I have several landlines. Quite honestly, landlines still work when the power goes off. I live along the Minnesota River where the cell coverage is iffy. The one big deal that I have is that I can have Wi-Fi calling now with my cell phone, but it still is very inconsistent right where I'm at. I'm tucked down in a little bit in the valley. So absolutely, I still have a landline, and it's still the most reliable communications I have.
Bill Otis is a loyal leader who knows what works. During his 37 years as CEO of Nuvera Communications, he grew the company through a series of acquisitions and evolved with changing technologies, from punch card calls to high-speed internet. But always, he stayed true to the core of the 115-year-old business.
It's people. It's the people that you have. You know, build a good team, trust them.
Bill grew up in the small town of Houston, Minnesota. He went to Winona State to play football and majored in accounting and business administration. But as he did the math, he thought he could make more money as a construction worker.
And at one point in time, I was thinking about dropping out of college because I literally could make more money and I could have the winters off if I worked construction. My dad pushed very, very hard. My dad had an 8th grade education, both my mom and dad, 8th grade education, and he said, get the piece of paper, get the diploma. He's never heard of anybody not being allowed in the ditch to dig with a diploma, but he was one that couldn't necessarily get out of the ditch because he didn't have a piece of paper.
Bill took that paper diploma to the Twin Cities for a job in accounting at 3M. But the opportunity to move back to a smaller community and move up the ladder quickly drew him to New Ulm Telecom in 1979. There was no looking back.
I'm really not a big city guy. New Ulm is nice. You know, New Ulm is one of the largest small towns I think that you could ever find. It's very interconnected. It doesn't take long. You can connect to somebody that you both know because there's a lot of relatives and people are friendly enough to find out.
Nuvera liked the fact that Bill knew business, he knew construction, and he understood telecom. His father worked for Ace Telephone in Houston, Minnesota. After just 3 years as controller for Nuvera, the company named Bill Otis its CEO.
27 years old, they offered me the job as general manager, and shortly thereafter became president and CEO. There were a few people, Dick Rodenberg, who was an attorney here in town, was on the board. You know, he talked me through that I could do this. If anything, I think that I was too dumb to know what I didn't know.
He knew this. Growing the business would be important to its longevity. But that's not easy in a small town.
As we started looking at trying to grow the business and thinking that we need scale, a lot of the things that we do, whether it's billing, whether it's taking calls, all of that, is that the cost is about the same whether you double your size or stay where you're at. And we started looking at that. We decided that we probably couldn't do it organically. We probably couldn't just do it with the area that we had because the area wasn't growing. It's a rural area, so it doesn't grow very fast. So then we started looking at, is there companies that we could buy and is there ways that we could grow, and we did that slow. People say, well, why did you buy People's Telephone Company in Aurelia, Iowa? And the answer is because it was for sale when we wanted to buy something. You know?
The growth continued. Nuvera bought up telecom companies in other small communities throughout the Midwest and entered the cellular market. Today, that little phone company Bill went to work for in 1979 is a nearly $65 million modern telecommunications company. Bill retired as CEO in 2019 and remains on Nuvera's board of directors.
I'm really proud of the company. Very, very proud of the company. I'm proud of how the company fits in the community, and when communities, I mean, because there's a number of, we're in, I don't know how many communities at this point in time with a couple hundred employees, but you know, this company is really part of this community. It's headquartered here. It's got its roots here, and so I really, really feel like, you know, I'm part of the community. I'm part of the business. I would tell you that my job was part of my life.
And now, someone who knows Bill's work and work ethic firsthand, Perry Meyer, chairman of the board at Nuvera.
Hello, I'm Perry Meyer, and I've been given the great honor of introducing my friend Bill Otis. Bill is a successful businessman and community leader, but Bill is so much more than that. Bill's honesty, integrity, and dedication are traits he holds that are second to none. Bill has more than 40 years of experience in the communication industry. His experience in finance and operation management, together with merger and acquisition activities, gave Nuvera a competitive advantage. Under his guidance, Nuvera has become a well-established and well-respected leader in the communication world. Bill also led on a national level, traveling across the country, serving on the Pasco Board of Directors, and as a member of the National Telephone Cooperative Association Governance Advisory Committee. Bill is a leader with vision. He is articulate and a consensus builder. Bill is never too busy to talk to a customer, employee, or a board member if they have a concern or an issue. Bill is a hardworking person that always finds a way to get things done. I asked some people to share their thoughts about Bill, and what I heard from them is that he is well-grounded, he has a solid foundation, he has strong relationships, has extremely high values for himself as well as the company, and probably what I consider one of the most important traits a leader can have is that he was thoughtful to provide opportunities for employees. Bill has developed, built, and strengthened relationships with many in the communication world, and much of the growth of Nuvera has been the result of the trust that others have placed in Bill. They're wanting to join Nuvera to be a part of something they believe that operates under the same upstanding principles that they operated under. One quick story about Bill's integrity. Shortly after I was elected to the board of directors, Bill brought to us a proposal he had received from a company that wanted to partner with us to increase revenues. Their plan was to increase minutes of use generated from outside our trade area, thereby increasing our revenues. While this practice was legal, it did not feel right. And as I recall, Bill said there will be other companies that will go down this path and will likely grow because of it, but it is not something he could be a part of. Bill was only interested in doing the right thing, even if no one ever knew. I want to thank Bill for his great work at Nuvera and congratulate him on a fantastic career in the industry. I am proud and so honored to present the 2020 Hall of Fame Award for Lifetime Achievement to Bill Otis.
Thank you to Twin City Business for this recognition. It's humbling to hear the comments from my peers, and I'm honored to be inducted alongside the impressive group of inductees from this year and from years past. Our success and my successes are rooted in people giving me a chance. They gave me the opportunities to succeed and to fail, each of which I've done on multiple occasions. Each time was an opportunity to learn and grow. I learned, my team learned, and we all benefited. These experiences also gained me the trust of my board of directors, peers, and teammates. Giving a person an opportunity or the chance to succeed or fail allows for growth, trust, and overall success. With that also comes a lot of hard work. Fortunately, Nuvera has always had the employees, an executive management team, and a board that is needed to support to grow a successful company. Many things have changed over the lifetime of Nuvera and during my 40 years career, but some things never change, nor should they. There's never a time where you should sacrifice your personal integrity or trust of your peers, your personal reputation, or the reputation of the company you lead. My wife always said that I would die at my desk. Fortunately, I have not, and I now have some time to enjoy my hobbies and reflect on my career. I'm very proud of Nuvera and my career as its CEO. Again, thank you for the kind words and the opportunity to be here today. And remember, give people a chance to succeed.
Thank you, Bill. That was wonderful. Let's take a minute to hear from Plain Solutions.
Good evening, everyone, and congratulations to this year's Twin Cities Business Hall of Fame inductees. To ensure safety protocols for COVID-19, this video was self-shot in our office. Monica, Catherine, George, Bill, and Al, you've all left your indelible mark and positive impact on Minnesota business, and tonight we're all here to honor you and your achievements. I am Rich Dahlquist, President and CEO of Plain Solutions. Our local team provides professional, outsourced, private flight department solutions for fast-paced organizations throughout our region. Our role is to make your private jet ownership experience safe, efficient, and hassle-free. Our comprehensive service and operational expertise allows your business to focus on core competencies and leave the complex requirements of aviation to us. Plain Solutions is proud to sponsor this event and recognize the accomplishments of those being honored this evening. And again, congratulations.
George Sherman is a real estate developer whose impact on the city skyline ranges from affordable neighborhood housing to downtown high-rises. Let's take a look at some of his career highlights.
You might not know his name, but no doubt you've seen his buildings around the Twin Cities and beyond. George Sherman is a prolific real estate developer with more than $4 billion in projects, including apartments, hotels, and affordable housing. But as a kid growing up in St. Louis Park, you were more likely to find George playing with a chemistry set than making buildings out of Legos. He even earned a college degree in biochemistry.
Much like the movie The Graduate, where I went to a friend's party when I was about 21, and he said, the future is not chemistry, it's real estate. And my comment was, well, what the heck is real estate?
After college, George started working for a biomedical company, but the idea of real estate had gotten into his head.
Well, I'm going to quit my day job as a biochemist and go into real estate full-time, and that would have been about 1981.
George gradually added small projects to his portfolio until a big opportunity came along in 1988. It was the deal that would define his early career, the acquisition of Cedar Square West, now Riverside Plaza, an 11-building complex with 1,300 affordable apartments in the West Bank area of Minneapolis.
It took us from a company of about 10 to 12 employees to a company of about 150, and really changed the dynamics of the whole company.
Riverside was one of the first tax credit projects in the country and paved the way for Sherman Associates to get into the affordable housing business, a cornerstone of the Sherman Associates portfolio.
You change people's lives forever by providing a quality housing environment for them. I grew up in a family where giving back was expected of all the family members, that we were here to do good work in the world, and to make sure that we recognize the importance of helping others. So our mission as a company has always been enriching neighborhoods and building communities.
Building community, not flashy skyscrapers, guides many of Sherman Associates' most influential projects, from the revitalization of West Broadway, which brought new jobs to North Minneapolis, to the North Shore Theater redevelopment in Duluth, which reignited the area around it. He was an early proponent of riverfront improvements at a time when many didn't think it was possible to sell upscale homes in an urban area that had been thought of as industrial.
It's a gem, the riverfront in Minneapolis. I would also say that really what brought it to the next level was the renovation of the Stone Arch Bridge by the park and by the city. That made it a walking connection between the West Bank and the East Bank of Minneapolis. And it has some of the highest home values and some of the nicest amenities in Minneapolis right now. Our riverfront is our front door in this city.
Sustainability is another pillar of George's work.
You may have heard that we are one of the first developers in the Midwest to put 100% of our buildings on solar power. And that wasn't just because someone thought it would be a moneymaker. That was because we thought it was the right idea, that we didn't want to wait around for utility companies to go carbonless, that we thought we could advance the discussion by showing people we could do it.
You don't get ahead in business without taking a few risks.
The sport I did in high school was ski jumping. And there are no old ski jumpers. You just have to be convinced that when you go off the jump, you will land.
Today, George has landed in a spot where he's stepping away from day-to-day operations to let his son Chris take over. He'll still work on development projects that matter to him personally, like rebuilding in North Minneapolis, rethinking design in the wake of COVID-19, and maybe taking a little time to appreciate how his work has changed the skyline.
I still believe that the urban cores of our U.S. cities are the ones to continue to invest in for so many reasons. People like to be connected. They like the transportation corridors, and human beings like interaction with each other.
Presenting George is someone who's known him, well, a lifetime. Chris Sherman is the Senior Vice President of Operations and Capital Markets at Sherman Associates, soon to be president. And he's also George's son. Take it away, Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Sherman with Sherman Associates. My father, George Sherman, started Sherman Associates 42 years ago. And for longer than I've been alive, he's been delivering high impact development across the Midwest, specifically here in the Twin Cities. Going back to the late 70s when he started in South Minneapolis, really taking on high impact urban infill projects, to today when we sit in the Mill District here in overlook the Mississippi, where we've developed a lot of housing, retail, hotels. During this period, he's really been somebody that has seen things through. And it's been a privilege for me, his son, to get to learn from him for the last, my entire life. And for the last 12 plus years, working for the organization that he built and continues to grow. It's truly an honor to be here to introduce my father for the 2020 Hall of Fame Lifetime Achievement Award.
Well, I want to thank Twin City Business for the award, and I want to thank our whole team at Sherman Associates for all the work that they have put in over the last 42 years to make my goals in our company successful. It's been a wonderful experience, and look forward to another 40 years.
Thank you, George. Talk about leaving a legacy for this city. Now, for a few words from our sponsor, JLL.
Hello, I want to welcome everybody here to the event tonight. My name is Ken Dayton. I'm a Senior Managing Director for Jones Lang LaSalle. We're a worldwide commercial appraisal firm. I look at George Sherman, who I know personally and had a chance to work with for over the last 20 years, and I see the same traits in George as in all the individuals here tonight. You know, their dedication, passion, and integrity for their careers, family, and the employees that work underneath them. On behalf of Jones Lang LaSalle, please enjoy the rest of the program and have a good evening. Thank you.
And now, let's meet tonight's final inductee, the principal and CEO of Tunheim Communications Agency, Kathy Tunheim. She's a trailblazer who is as well known for her work promoting the Twin Cities as she is her many clients.
Intersections are one of my favorite things. That's the honest to God truth. I think it's really, it's an interesting way to experience your career, to be intentional about being at important intersections between government, business, between generations, between whatever. It's where cool stuff happens at intersections.
Kathy Tunheim is a leader who has had a profound impact at the intersection of business and public policy. In guiding her strategic communications firm for 30 years, she's helped a wide range of clients, including Target, United Healthcare Group, and Cargill, all frame messaging that helps businesses thrive. But her career path has been filled with surprising turns.
I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunities that I've been given, but yeah, you wouldn't have planned it quite the way I did it, probably.
Kathy grew up in Northfield, one of 5 siblings and the daughter of educators. Because of her early aptitude for math and science, Kathy's mother urged her to study engineering.
I was intrigued by it, and so I started at the University of Minnesota in engineering. There weren't very many women in that school at that time, and so I got an internship after my first year, which was an incredible experience because it cemented for me that I did not want to be an engineer.
Throughout college, Kathy also interned for Governor Wendell Anderson, and that sparked an interest in both public policy and the power of communications.
You know, you have an opportunity to intersect with people of real vision and people who have big ambitions for the state. It was really inspiring. I got there about a year after Governor Anderson was on the cover of Time magazine with the big fish. So it was a time when Minnesota was on the ascendancy, and it was thinking of itself as a place where we could really make things work. It was a really inspiring time.
Kathy took those communication skills to the corporate world and soon found herself at Honeywell.
So my first 2 years at Honeywell were in a very kind of rarefied air of helping organize and accomplish a really major corporate restructuring. So again, fire hose in my face, learning opportunity. I'm at another one of those intersections, and a great opportunity to learn about corporate life and about the power of communications and how important communications is for businesses to be successful.
Eventually, she and 4 colleagues left to start a communications agency of their own with Honeywell as their first client.
My intention was to stay for a couple years and then go back to corporate life. I love big corporate life. But our other most senior partner, Mario Santrizos, who loved the agency, got sick, and after he passed away, it sort of changed the game plan.
But she loved the work and constantly evolving challenges.
I think our success has a lot to do with the fact that we watch the horizon and we think about what those waves are, and we try to be ready to evolve to the next evolution of what it means to be in the consulting business. So we built a public affairs practice when that seemed to make sense. We built a digital practice when it seemed to make sense. So I'm extremely proud of the team that's here and the resiliency they've had.
In 2008, Kathy turned over day-to-day agency operations to John Blackshaw, but she remains actively involved with the team and several clients. She also maintains an ambitious schedule of civic work, which has been core to her entire career. From the Itasca Project and Greater MSP to the Super Bowl Host Committee and the Manova Global Health Summit, Kathy is devoted to initiatives that shine a light on Minnesota's strength.
What I'm excited about is a more equitable future. I say all the time that Twin Cities is never going to be one of the biggest cities in the world, but it could be one of the best. It could be one of the most vibrant. We have so many things going for us. And now I'm going to sound like the Chamber of Commerce, which I'm not a part of. Well, I'm a member. But we do. We have incredible resources, natural and otherwise, corporate and public. We should be one of the most vibrant places. But it's only going to work if it's also equitable. If everybody is a part of this, again, back to the ethos of this company, none of us is as good as all of us.
Joining us to say a few words about Kathy is Dr. Eric J. Jolly, President and CEO of the St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation.
Hello, I'm Eric Jolly, President and CEO of the St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation. I am delighted today to introduce you to Kathy Tunheim. Her work has impacted my life and the life of the community that I have grown to love so dearly. Kathy Tunheim introduced me to Minnesota 20 years ago when she brought me in as the CEO of the Science Museum of Minnesota. And she also introduced me to the powerful ways in which a board chair and CEO can work together to manage change and to inspire an organization to do things never before imagined. Whether it's exhibits such as Race that touched the nation, or Body Worlds that inspired the next generation of scientists and our young people across the state, Kathy Tunheim was there for me and for our state. She's a leader. In her profession, she has led IPREX, the Global Communications Consortium. In our state, she's been active advising governors in leading efforts to strengthen our community and our economy. And across our community, she is there, present, active, and in so many ways. Currently, she's on my board, the St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation Board, as well as the McKnight Foundation Board, Landscape Structures Board, and in the past, Augsburg University, the Bush Foundation, Meet Minneapolis, Hennepin County Medical Center, the list goes on. She offers her time and wise counsel. Brilliant, actually. She strengthens the quality of governance of every organization she's engaged with. She inspires the leadership. Kathy Tunheim is patient, generous, and oh so passionate. Kathy Tunheim is a community builder. She works supporting and building the infrastructure for our community that gives us hope for the future and joy every day. It is time to recognize and say thank you for giving us the gifts that we will look back on for decades. Kathy, you have created a legacy and one that matters. I am proud to present the 2020 Hall of Fame Lifetime Achievement Award to Kathy Tunheim.
Thank you very much. First, I want to congratulate the other inductees. It's humbling to be in their company. And thank you to Twin Cities Business for this incredible honor. I also want to thank my friend, nominator, and presenter, Eric Jolly, a friend of 20 years and somebody who I've been inspired to work alongside here in our community. I like to say I'm a lifelong student, and so my joy every day is realizing that I have people that I am learning from in every part of my life. Certainly my colleagues and my work setting, both at the agency over the last 30 years and in my opportunities before that in corporate and public life. My business partners, the strategic alliances that I've had an opportunity to build with people in other companies and other parts of our economy, incredible opportunities, public officials that I've had a chance to work for as a volunteer and a staff person. And then my family. Probably my earliest teachers and still my teachers still today, my parents down in Maryland Hill in Northfield, my siblings. I'm the second of 5 and proud of each and every one of you. And then my immediate family, my husband Jack Tunheim, my daughter Liz and her family Matthew and Isabel, my son Sam. Love you all very, very much. Thanks again for this incredible honor. It's a very humbling day for Kathy Tunheim.
Thank you, Kathy. Well deserved. To all of our 2020 honorees, Al Hodnik, Monica Nassif, Bill Otis, George Sherman, and Kathy Tunheim, each of you deserves our gratitude for your accomplishments, for your contributions to our state's business community, and for making Minnesota a better place to work and live, particularly in a year that has turned out to be the most tumultuous in recent history. It's reassuring to consider the value of thoughtful leadership and remember that we all have an opportunity to make a difference in our communities. Business can often amplify those efforts. Thank you for sharing your stories, for being such great sports, and for giving us a reason to come together even when the circumstances are keeping us apart. Thank you to our gold sponsors, Carlson School of Management and JP Morgan, and our silver sponsors, Plains Solutions and JLO. And thank you once again for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed learning more about our Hall of Famers and feel inspired and motivated. I know I do. Well, on behalf of everyone at Twin Cities Business, we hope you enjoyed tonight's program, and we truly appreciate you joining us. A recording of this event will be available online in just a few days. You can share it with your friends and colleagues, or hey, relive the highlights. Thank you once again, and good night.